let's look at some congruence properties of triangles. There are three ways to prove that triangles are congruent. One of them is side angle side. If you can pick two sides with an angle in between and prove that those are congruent, you can say the whole triangle is. The other one is angle side angle. If you can pick two angles with the side in between, prove that those are congruent, then you have congruent triangles. The last one is side, side, side. So if you can prove that all three sides are congruent, then you have congruent triangles. So if you look up here, let's look at side angle side. So if I have AB and ED, and I can prove that BC and ED, or EF, I'm sorry, are congruent. That gives me two sides. If I can prove the angle in between them is congruent, B and E, then I have side angle side. For angle side angle, I would need two angles like ED and AB and the side in between them. If I can prove that those are congruent, I have congruent triangles or all three sides. So let's look at some. Okay, so it tells me that CE and ED. Okay, so C to E, that's this one. They have two little marks there. And E to D are congruent. Okay, it also tells me that A to E is congruent to E to B. So I have two sides. If I can get the angle in between them, find a reason for the angle in between them to be congruent, then I can prove congruence for this. Well, this is a vertical angle. So angle CEA is going to be congruent to angle, CA, oops, wrong one. CEA is going to be congruent to DEB. So let me fix that. We can't just say angle E because it would be on both sides. So DEB. Those are vertical. So we know they're congruent. And once we know they're congruent, we can prove, because we have side angle side, that these two triangles are congruent. So our reasoning would be a side that was given, an angle that we found, and a side that was given. These are congruent by side, angle, side. Now make sure you're careful when you're matching them up. Like angle A is congruent to angle B. So A and B are congruent. Angle C is congruent to angle D. Okay? And angle E is congruent to angle E. So be careful when you're naming it. Make sure that you line that up carefully and match your angles. Let's look at another one. This one is given that ADB, okay, ADB, so that's this one here, is congruent to CBD. CBD, that's this one, okay. It's also given ABD, so that's this one, is congruent to CDB. Excuse me, yeah, CDB, that's this one. So what I have is two angles. If I can get the side in between those, we can use angle, side, angle. I can't do angle, 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 so I have to get this side in between them. Well, the side in between those two angles is DB. So we know that DB is going to be equal to DB because it's the same side. So we have proven this is congruent by angle, side, angle. Let's do another one. This one, it says AD and CD, okay, that's these two, are congruent. And it's given that AB and CB are congruent. Okay, so I've got two sides. I either need the angle in between or the other side. Now, it's kind of hard to get the angle in between because we haven't proven they're congruent yet, but it's really easy to get that third side because they share it. DB is going to be equal to DB because it's the same side. Okay, they call that the reflexive property, by the way. And now I have that these are congruent by side, side, side. Now, once I've proven it's congruent, I know I have an isosceles triangle. And here's some facts that go along with an isosceles triangle. The base angles are equal. Once you prove it's an isosceles triangle, you know that A and C are going to be equal. ABD and CBD. Okay, so ABD, CBD. So these two angles up top are going to be equal. And ADB and CDB are both right angles. So those are properties of congruent triangles. Or, excuse me, properties of isosceles triangles, what I meant to say.